In this video, we're going to talk about changing the cassette. It's quite an easy procedure to do so, but you will need some specialist tools. We've got a Shimano cassette here, but it's very similar if you've got a SRAM cassette, but be sure to check the manufacturer's guidelines. The next step is that you'll need to remove the back wheel. We've done a video on this already, and hopefully you can do this. So I'm just going to quickly take the rear wheel out. There we go. Bit difficult. On this bike, we've got a bolt through rear end, but if you do have a wheel with a quick release, then you'll have to remove that first. Be careful not to lose these small springs. They are partial to rolling off the bench, bouncing, and they're a tricky one to find. So a good tip, pop the spring back on and pop the end nut back on and just lay that on the side of the bench out of the way for now. So why would you change your cassette? Well, you might change it if it's worn out and need replacing, or as part of an overhaul to clean between the cogs. Another reason is that if you're going somewhere really flat, you might want to have a different ratio, or likewise, if you're going somewhere steep, you might want to have a wider one. We're now all ready to change the cassette. The first thing that I'm going to do is pop the chain whip on the cassette, somewhere around the center, and make sure that it sits really well on the cassette teeth. You don't want that to slip. I've done it myself, and you won't be able to get the cassette off. So just apply a little bit of pressure to make sure that it's not moving anywhere and it's firm. Next, you want to pop in the cassette tool, and you're going to use a big spanner to loosen that off. With that in place like that, you're just going to apply a little bit of pressure, and it should come off quite easy. Keep the chain whip in place and just loosen off the cassette. There we go. And I've got the end nut of the cassette off quite easy. With the lock ring now removed, we're ready to take the chain whip off. The cassette should just slide off, and remember that they're actually in individual parts for the first few. If it doesn't just slide off, just give it a little tap with your big spanner and you should find that it'll loosen off nice and easy. Each part should just slide off individually at the start, and quite often there are small washers in between the cogs. You don't want to lose these. Just be careful where you put them. Be careful when you do go to pull some of the cassette cogs off. They can actually, like I've just done there, pull the free hub off, and you don't want that to come off. You can lose small springs and pawls inside, and it makes the job a lot harder. So just be aware when you do go to take it off. Put some pressure down on that and you can just slide the big ring off. I'd recommend just to use a little bit of disc brake cleaner just to clean the free hub and some of the cassette if they're dirty. Now on to fitting the cassette back onto the free hub. I like to apply a small little bit of grease onto that, just so that it's going to slide on easy and it's not going to seize over time. Just rub it around with your fingers. Make sure that every spline has a little bit of grease on it. You'll notice there are a number of spline teeth both on the inside of the cassette and the free hub. Place the spline with the biggest gap to the top, and this makes it easy to find. Place the largest cog back on the free hub body, lining up the splines, and just work your way through putting the remainder on. Be careful not to lose these small black spacers. So I'm now just going to put the lock nut back on loosely, and I'll finish tightening it when it's back down on the floor to apply a good amount of pressure. Now just to tighten up, I've been to the gym this morning, so I'm going to be able to get that 40 Newton meters quite easy, if I can get it on. Oh yeah, there we go. Now that I've put the cassette back on, you just want to check that they're all lined up and that the spaces are equal between each cog. The final check that I like to do is just to check that it's in place, it's tight, and that the free hub is fixed in before I slot it back into the rear end of the bike. There we go. Cassette is done. Bit of a rubbing disc, that's Donnie's bike though. A great tip to prolong the life of your cassette is to regularly check your chain and make sure that it's not going to wear out. If it wears out, you actually damage the cassette and have to replace it more often. So, for more great videos, click up here for how to check your chain, down there for how to fit a new chain, and don't forget to click in the middle to subscribe. It's free. And give us your thumbs up.